Where are you taking us, Kalamba? Where are you taking us? We don't know. We shall follow. She's walking straight down Twin Dams Road now. Stalking again. Everything that pops out in front of her. There's always a few mongoose on this road. So now Tambeta Pan was to the right up the hill. Maybe she knows of closer water. Maybe she wants to go to Chelapan. Although I feel like Gowrie Dam or Boitera Dam would have been closer. Maybe there's something else she's on her way to do. Didn't see suckle marks, everybody. We had a good look. Suckle marks would be quite obvious around the belly area. They're quite swollen mammary glands with sort of matted fur around them. Should indicate that she's suckled cubs, which happens very soon after birth. Squirrels have been great today. Morgan, well, the reserve is as large as it is, and if anything, the reserve gets bigger as more properties join in over time, Pridelands being an example of that. And there will be a saturation point where the cats will reach an equilibrium and the balance will form. Essentially, it's not about the reserve getting smaller. There's only so much habitat in these reserves for X number of animals, and once they've reached that saturation point, they'll have to disperse. And that's when we start seeing conflicts outside of reserves. But generally, the lifespan of many of these animals and the dispersal strategies have been a quite good alignment. There's lots of space in the Kruger, and there's always individuals dying off. Nikanova, no, there'll be no support from Tundi. If anything, Tundi will fight her for the territory she's trying to claim. I mean, obviously there'll be memory. They know each other, but these cats are highly competitive, everybody. Highly competitive. There's no support. No support with cubs, no support with feeding. She's been given her feeding opportunities as a cub. And that's it. It's done now. Just looked at an impala. It looked like an impala. It's probably what she looks at. A dry bush. Okay, so there are some pans just here on Ingwe Alley if she turns. That might be the closest pathway. You kind of assume that she's heading for water, everybody. That's kind of the assumption. Obviously, without being able to read her mind. Keep following. Junction with Ingwe Alley is coming up. She's not scent marking, she's not spraying. She had another poo before she got onto the road, but they don't use that as a form of scent marking. Whenever I've seen Thandi with new cubs or imminent with cubs, she gets very vigorous in her scent marking. Everywhere she walked, 15, 20 meters, she would scent mark. No doubt the pheromones given off in that scent mark would indicate a lot about the status of that female. Pregnant or with cubs or whatever it might be, there would be communication. Set out. Wonder Boy, yes, the boys have to leave. The girls stay in large predators. It's large cats anyway. It's the girls who stay and the boys who leave. In large birds of prey, it's the opposite. It's the boys who stay and the girls who leave. It's just the way it works. The males, it's important for them to leave so that they can spread their genetics. She just rolled in this hippo mess on the side here. So if the boys stayed and the girls stayed, first of all, they would compete with each other for the same space, and they'd also mate with each other. So by the boys leaving, the genetics of the boys are leaving, not to mate with mum, not to mate with the sister, to go somewhere until they're eventually strong enough to mate, bringing the genetic code of this area to that area. A female's carving out a small section of mum's territory. Mum can do that. She can afford to do that over a few years. Until eventually she hands the territory over completely. And obviously, they don't only have girl cubs. I mean, Thandi's got a boy now, Tlalamba before, and before Tlalamba was Tamba, which was a boy, and before Tamba was Kuchava. Kuchava seems to have the more eastern side. Now Tlalamba's taking the more western side, and Thandi's in the middle. And it's kind of getting to that stage when she's probably unlikely to have more cubs going forward. So the territorial behavior of it all is Tlalamba's going to inherit what Thandi leaves behind. Might not even be a slice, it might be a large portion. But it's not given to them, they have to earn it. Other females will push in. Shadulu's been pushing in from the west for some time. Tlalamba and Shadulu have had a number of altercations before. Shadulu's a much bigger leopard. She's got a few years on Tlalamba, and there were some tracks actually of a female coming up Philemon's Dip, which is basically running parallel with where we are now. And back in October, we had Shadulu and Tlalamba having altercations, walking this way, Tlalamba was walking that way, Shadulu that way, calling, scent marking, keeping a bit of a barrier between themselves. We know Shadulu's been mating, so she's probably now deciding where in my... She got to, after the mating, she's now vigorously got to demarcate her territory once more. And it's possible. Well, Tlalamba's not doing anything territorial now. So there's something else on the cards, but we don't know what. For it to be, maybe she's just going for a brisk walk to walk off her meal. She heard me talking about her tummy, and she thought, let me go get some steps in. Not a single scent mark, not even a face rub, just a roll in some hippo dung. And it's warm, so there's something on the mind. Nina, it's too mask a smell. They smell very bad, covered in meat and flesh and rotting dead animal. They smell like a cat. They smell like a predator, and the dung often masks it. It's almost like why perfume was invented. They use buffalo and hippo dung, elephant dung as well, as a perfume to overwhelm or to mask the scent that they have. Yeah, she found another bit of dung there. There's some buffalo dung that's a few days old. She thought to maybe enjoy, but a few 2 days past its eau de boeuf fragrance for her. It probably helps them to mask that smell, so it probably makes hunting more successful. But they also seem to enjoy it. They actually like to do it. They like to roll in it. If you've got cats at home, you'll probably notice that they like to roll in certain plants. They like to cover themselves in certain aromas. Some dogs do it as well. Just love to roll in the scent of other things. You know, is there more to it than that? I'm not sure. Definitely they eat and they ingest the dung of many herbivore animals, which no doubt adds a fair bit to the digestive system. Microorganisms as well as gut digestive enzymes, which being a meat eater, they don't have many of those enzymes in the gut. So they can get minerals, they can get nutrients, and they can get microorganisms from the animal manure that they roll in, and often we find them physically eating fresh buffalo dung. But she knows this area well. Just to the left-hand side, probably about 80 meters or so, is where she was born. Oh, Rochelle, those pads are perfect. She's seen something. No, she's being very alert, though. I wonder what she's spotting. Rochelle, the pads are perfect. They are such beautiful little feet. Leopard tracks and leopard feet are just... I quite enjoy them. They leave such a nice, perfect track for us to follow. And you can see again, everybody, example of why we spend so much time tracking on the road. Her general sort of direction. You know, like if we found these tracks over there and we didn't have the animal, we'll follow this sort of route. See how she might cut across from one side of the road to the other, keeping to sometimes the softest patch, sometimes the easiest patch. So we're always looking for those tracks, but knowing where the water is, like I know for a fact the closest water to her now is Chelapan. There might be some just in this little drainage where we are, but I think it might have dried up already. It's a very sandy sort of river stream. Chelapan is a very nice mud-based pan. A pangolin track, which is to the right of this one's also got a lot of little puddles. But Chelapan's probably the most substantial one that she's making her way towards. So through that mindset, you can speed up the process. Oh, look how she's struggling up the hill. Change gears, my darling. Oh, she's salivating. It's a lot of effort for a leopard to be walking in these temperatures, everybody. It costs them a lot of energy, covered in fur as they are. To be walking like this takes a lot of energy, and it's why when they do rest, they rest properly. But she will need to have something to drink, so I'm almost certain that is the objective of this little foray. And then she'll probably stay close to a shady spot by the water. She won't go, if there wasn't much meat left on that carcass, to be honest, but she wouldn't go back to it now. She might go back to it this afternoon when it's cooled down again. I think Lauren waited with that kill for some time, and then she just materialized again. Go off for a drink, go into the watering hole. They've got to wait for the temperature to be suitable before coming back. Otherwise, it's just